much. Now today we'll be discussing about the effective review of literature, and in the effective review of literature I would like to share my screen. So today we'll be discussing about the effective review of literature and the type of resources, especially the resources that we'll be using in writing a review of literature. See, the review of literature is a very important aspect in doing any research, whether it is an MPhil or a PhD or any research project, or even in writing a research article or assignment. One has to, first of all, review the existing literature, and in the light of the review of existing literature can find out the gap area, can find out the important aspects where they can put more emphasis on that if there are no sufficient articles or literature is available. So what is important in understanding the review of literature is, first of all, you have to understand what is review is. The definition of review, as the word says, you have to review, you have to view the existing literature available in the field, and you have to read it, you have to understand it, and then you have to write in your own way or in your own words. What is review is, and the literature, when we say the second word literature, this literature include all types of information resources. It can be even books, it can be the research articles, or it can be the reference sources. What is there in the reference sources is that you will find the whole idea about the subject, how the subject is developed. Another important aspects when you are reviewing the literature is, or when you are scanning the literature is, you have to see whether are you getting the proper literature into it. Are you getting on the subject the core work done on that area? When I say the core work done on that area is the original work in that area. That you have to find out when you are searching the literature. See, again, this literature review is divided into two aspects. The first is that you have to conduct a literature survey. Literature survey is very important, and then you have to go for a field survey also on that particular subject. Though the field survey is also the output of the review of literature, in one way it is connected. The connectivity is that whatever gaps you are finding in your review of literature, that the work is not done in that area, accordingly you will be framing questions, accordingly you will be drafting the discussion part with the users, and then you are getting the information on it. So there is a literature survey, and then the second part is the field survey. Another important area is when you see the review is that again you have you have to give your critical reading into it. You have to give your critical view into it. When I say the critical means you have to give the positive also, and you have to give the negative aspects also into it. You see, you are already aware with the term review. Every Sunday in the newspaper we are getting a review of films, and in the review of films we are getting a 3-star films, 2-star films, or a 5-star films. So when you are getting a 5-star, as a review of that film, we say, oh, this is a good film, so we'll watch it. When you will get a 1 or 1.5 or a 2 star in the review of a film, then you'll say, oh, it's not worthwhile to watch that particular movie. So what I'm trying to say is that review is a critical study, on that literature, on that subject. So let's go into more detail of the understanding the part review is. So this is basically the assessment of already existing literature, a formal assessment of something with the intention of intuiting change if necessary. An analysis, this is also evaluation. You are giving plus and minus into the evaluation part. You are highlighting the positive aspects of it. You are doing the appraisal of the system according to you. You are examining, investigating, and exploring. And finally, you are giving the audit into it. And this is the important aspects in that area. And book review is one. Already you, as a library and information person, you have seen there are book reviews in journal. So book review is that after reading a whole book, the author of the review says about the book, whether the book is worthwhile to read, what are the plus points of the book is, and where the book is lacking. So there is a book review also, play review also, film review I have already discussed. And it's a critique which includes plus and minus. And another important aspect is that you have to give your judgment also. You have to give your judgment while doing the review. And as I mentioned earlier, review means examine again and again. Now, the definition of review, it is an orderly recall of past information. Now, when we say the orderly recall of past information, it means that when you are reviewing the literature, you have to make all the literature that you have collected in some order. So it is an orderly recall of the information available with you. You have to put in some order. And what will be that order, we'll be discussing in the this incoming slides. And you have to consider retrospectively what has done earlier in that area when you are doing a research in an area. Samlochan or samiksha is another term in Hindi that we understand. Now, a detailed analysis and assessment of something, especially a literary or a philosophical and a political aspects into it. When I use the word of philosophical, this is very, very important. A logic, a beginning. So you have to see that what is the beginning of the literature on that particular subject, and what is the logic in connectivity when you are reading all this literature. And then you have to, after reading, you have to give the abstract of it. Now, what is happening is that when we are collecting data, in most of the cases, we are getting the abstracts along with the article. I remember there was a time when there is no abstract, so we have to write abstracts for the article. I'm talking, this is 1982, 83, 84, like that period. So there was no author abstracts in many of the articles. So I remember Indian science abstracts. So while preparing the Indian science abstract, sometimes we are getting an abstract directly from the author. And in many cases, author is not writing an abstract, starting the article straight away with the introduction. Now the journals, publishers, they are very particular. They say you have to give abstract, you have to give keyword, and you have to give the introduction and you have to give summary. All those things they have made it compulsory while writing the article. So while reading the literature, whether it's a book or an article or other references, you have to write the abstract of the resource, and then you have to write the summary of that review, and then you have to discuss it on. So you have to give your view as a discussion, and then you have to give a evaluation into it, which includes both plus and minus part into it. So again, understanding more about the word review is the act of criticizing or a remark or a comment, and you have to express your approval or a disapproval on the activity, on the writing, what the author is saying, which is a literary criticism. A critique is somewhat formal word that typically refers to a careful judgment that we are giving. See, there is a popular award, there is an award by the industry, then there is a critique award also. So critique award is a careful judgment which says plus and minus, and so this is very, very important aspects in understanding the meaning of a word review. Now, there are different types of review. When we say systematic or a systemic review, it aims to provide a comprehensive, unbiased synthesis of many relevant studies, and a rigorous and transparent method. It aims to synthesize and summarize the existing knowledge. So in other words, it's a systematic methodology. It's a systematic study of the existing knowledge, existing literature. And the quality of a systematic review depends heavily on the extent to which methods are followed to minimize the risk of error, and it should not be biased during the review process. Sometimes what happens that we are familiar with one author and we say this author is writing good, so we are citing most of the article written by that particular author. So we should not be biased. We should be unbiased in writing a review. That such rigorous method is distinguished as a systematic review from a traditional review of the literature. Now, what is happening is the day by day, the literature is increasing. And when the literature is increasing, it is more and more burden on the part of the author or a researcher to review a whole lot of existing literature. And, during 1982-83, when there were no digital literature available, so most of the time the researcher, they have to go manually and they have to go through indexing and abstracting journal, and then they have to catch hold of the relevant articles in the journal and they have to read it. Now the advantage is that we are in the digital age, and in this digital age, most of the research journals and most of the resources, they are available digitally, and thus it is saving a lot of time. It is saving a lot of time in searching, in collecting, and also reading fast, because everything is available on the screen and you can read it easily. And if the things are in the printed format, so one by one you are scanning the pages and you are reading the abstracts, and then you are going to the intro part of it, and then you are going to the end of the article and getting the conclusion summary, and then getting an idea that this particular resource is saying what about a subject. So this is easy when we are having a digital access. So the explosion of knowledge and access to a diverse range of knowledge sources over the past decade, it is now almost impossible for individual um, to really ahead of the knowledge in a given field. So what is happening is, it is not only the technology is having an accessibility, but at the same time there is an explosion in the knowledge. A large amount of literature is also coming up. There is another aspect, is the meta-analysis in the review part. Meta-analysis is going again into the uh, depth part, or understanding the subjects into components, into divisions, and then collecting the literature on those divisions and on those parts. So with the importance of using a systematic approach in review being distinguished as an issue separate from the meta-analysis, suggested that the term meta-analysis be restricted to the process of statistical analysis, synthesis, that is a meta-analysis. So what I'm trying to say is that in the meta-analysis, you are getting a whole of literature. You have to divide the literature into some division. You have to divide the literature into some part. And when you will divide the literature into some part, in that case, so what is important is that that division can be of many area. That division can be according to the author, highest, the author which is contributing highest in number, or the area or the part in that subject is having a maximum number of resources published in that area, and also that this institute is working more in that area. And if you will identify which institute is working more in that area, and the country also. So while doing the review of literature, if you are getting ready-made the meta-analysis part, that the in the subject area, this is the country which is working more in that area, and this is the institute which is working more in that area, and these are the authors contributing highest in that area. So that will also help you to collect the data before you will go final reading into the review area. Now, once you have done the meta-analysis, and also you have categorized systematically your resources, then you have to do the mapping. The you have to categorize them. You have to give a different points on different uh, areas on the sheet, and how these areas are connected with each other. The broader area to the narrower area, or the group of the narrower area, how many narrower areas are there, and what is the sequencing of this narrow area is. So you have to map it, you have to dot it on the paper, and that is what is the mapping of a review. And this will help you into the systematization, reading the whole text when you will finally do it. Now, again, this is very important aspects in the review of literature is, see, if you are doing any research in the area, and you have to restrict, you have to make your scope, that which literature you will collect, whether it will be a time frame will be there, or whether in the subject area, up to what subject area sub component you will try to collect the literature. So one has to fix the scope while collecting the research articles or a research literature in the area. If you will not define your scope, then you will find you will be reaching to the unlimited number of articles, large number of articles, which will be really difficult to sum up. So for summation, you have to do a meta-analysis. For summation, you have to go for a systematic area, and then you have to give the space and time also in that area. Then only your review will be for the completion side. Now, the writing part. In the writing part, we always say that my review is the state of art review. And when we say the state of art review, it means your review is the ultimate, which is after reading, giving you a clear-cut idea about what has happened earlier in that subject of research, and what is happening now, and what are the different parts, component, dimensions on that subject. And it should be in a flow. It should be like you are reading a story which is giving you the plus minus points on the subject area, and that will finally result into a state of art review. Um, and when you say it will give you plus and minus uh, aspects in your review, what I'm trying to say is that you are also addressing that what are the current status going on in this area, and how this current status can be further explored. See, it is the review of literature. It is the review of literature which will help you to finally strengthen your objectives also, and also it will strengthen your research questions. See, that is the reason that when you are planning your research, and when you submit your synopsis, in the synopsis, uh, you have to, before writing a synopsis on the research topic, you have to do a review of literature. But that review of literature is a preliminary review of literature. It's not an exhaustive review of literature, but certainly if you have done exhaustive in the beginning itself, that will really help you to very crystal clear define your objectives, and also help you to define your research questions or the hypothesis in the area. Now, when you will go for a review in the research area, the very first important aspect is the understanding your research topic. And understanding the research title is that you have to really identify the various components of a research title. Various components in the research title. Let us say, for example, if you will take the information needs and information seeking behavior of a political scientist, information need and information seeking behavior of biological scientists, let us say. So in this particular title, what is important is the information need is one component, and information seeking behavior is another component, and the third component is that you are doing these two aspects on biological scientists. So you have to analyze further that what is information needs. This one word, which is information needs, two words into it, whether there are subdivision into information need, and in the information seeking behavior, what are the components in information seeking behavior. And again, the information needs and information seeking behavior for a biological scientist is different from the physics scientist, physicist, or is different from the economist. So keeping in view these three important components and the subdivision into it, you have to select the key terms of the research title. It should not be like that if it is an information needs or information seeking behavior of a biological scientist, straight away you are picking up these three terminology and you are trying to search on these three terminology in journal databases or book databases or reference sources and try to get the resources. No, not at all. You have to identify further the sub key terms in those three broader area. So that will make you to understand your research topic for a better research review. Now, once you have selected your key terms, now the important aspect is that how you will start your searches. How you will start your searches. So in the search area, whether you will look for journal individually, whether you will look for books individually, going to the library on the shelves and where the journals are available, or in the online databases, online journals. Now, as you are already aware with, um, we are having indexing and abstracting journal almost in all the subject areas. In the physics, we have a physics abstracts, we have a chemical abstracts, we have a biological, like in library information science also, we have a LISA, and in psychology also, we have abstracts there. So that is the first step, especially for the research article, and also the research work presented in the conferences. Their proceedings are also listed in the indexing and abstracting research journal. They are also listing the books published in that area. So the this is the first step, that you have to select the relevant indexing and abstracting services or a research journals available in that area, and start using the databases, because now these are also available in the database also form. So you can select from there that what are the relevant articles, relevant journals are there in that area. See, this is almost a pertinent question that your examiner may ask. Okay, you have done a research in that particular area. Can you tell us 5 important journals related to this subject area? So through your indexing and abstracting research journals, you will be able to get not only the articles relevant to, but you will also get what are the important resources, journals, or the publishers in your area of research. So that's you have to find. And another important aspect is this abstracting and indexing will lead you to the directly onto the research articles. But if you are able to catch hold of review journals, review journals are very, very important. And if you are, and in most of the research journals also, you will find that there is a special heading given as a review articles. So under the review articles, you will find 1 or 2 articles are listed. They are the review articles. And in the review journals, like in Library Trends is a journal, it's a review journal. It will give you an idea of the whole lot of literature on a particular aspects, the trend in that area. So similarly, review journals in physics, chemistry, economics, in political science, there are review journals are also there. And another important aspect is when you are doing a research, you should also know that if you are doing a research, it should not be duplicate. Already someone has done it, and you are also doing it. Someone has submitted in 2018, and now you are doing in 2021. Okay, gap is there. But if the same methodology, same scope, then what is happening is that you will be getting a ready-made the research strategy, research methodology, the analysis part. And then where is your real contribution? So everything you have already made available. So before you will really go into your review of literature or to your research area, you have to consult the thesis databases also. And this thesis databases, already Association of Indian Universities and Indian Council of Social Science Research, They are having a thesis databases. Even the InflimNet, they are also having a databases of thesis, and the worldwide also, internationally also. So you have to search that what are the theses available on that particular area. Not only thesis, but the research projects, or some assignments already done in that area. Library literature, I don't know how many of us still we are consulting the library literature. It will give you an idea about the books published in that area. So these are now, earlier they were in the printed form, now all are in the electronic form also. Another very important aspect is one has to look for the other research resources also, in the form of a multimedia sources to understand. Let us say when you are doing a research or doing a review in the first time in that area, so you have to first of all understand through reading articles, through reading journals and books, and you can of course see the videos also, and look for important websites. These websites, especially in your area. Let's say if you are doing a research in the information literacy, and you got a websites on information literacy, right? Directly you can go to a websites and get a material from there. Websites in the area will also help you to get that's also one of the research resource. And the very, very important resource is a human resource. How many of how many of us have consulted human resources while doing our research? Of course, your supervisor is there to help you. He is also a human resource in the area. He will help you. But besides your guide, who else? The experts in the area in our country. Not only in our country, but also internationally. Who are the experts available in that area internationally? If you are able to catch hold of those people and interact with them and get an idea, it's difficult. It's difficult, but not impossible. Why I'm saying is that for a research, you are getting full-fledged 5 years. And it's a long period. Try to make use of this full period in doing your research. The first important step in doing a research is a review of literature. And you have to finish your review of literature in the first year itself. Within 8-9 months, you finish your review of literature. So during the 8-9 months, you have to go through the print material, you have to go through the online material, you have to go through the article, to books, to review, to thesis, to reports, and the multimedia available. And important is the human resource. You will get a lot of idea that what is important is. And the institutions. If you are catch hold of that, this is the person who is expert in the area, and this is the people who are publishing the research journal in that area. So like in scientometric, there is a journal itself with the name Scientometrics Journal. So if you are catch hold of those people directly, will give you a lot of idea that what is the trend going on, what is research is coming in that area, and what are the software tools are coming in that area, and what are the important institutions they are working with in that particular area. So at the first stroke, I have written here knowledge tools, that is the institutions, departments, university, teachers, researchers, and these are the resources. And again, in these resources like thesaurus, encyclopedia, book, one thing I want to tell you, see, the understanding and getting a knowledge is not at all difficult. Whenever you get a word, Whenever you get any word which you are not able to understand, go to dictionary, go to thesaurus, go to a subject encyclopedia. You will get a lot of connotations. You will get a lot of ideas into it, lot of parts of it, and you develop an idea. So uh, reading a dictionary, consulting a dictionary, thesaurus, encyclopedia, while doing a research is really a good step to understand the topic area. Now, when we are talking of, when we have listed that these are the resources available with us, now searching in those resources is also not easy. Searching on those resources also not easy. You have to spend time therein also. And that is the reason, in the library, the information literacy programs are going on. It is the librarian and the library staff who are reading those resources on your behalf and making you understanding that what is, how to handle that particular resource and how to go into getting the information out of that resources. So literacy programs are happening, and day by day newer and newer resources and their upgradation versions are coming up. And it's very difficult on the part of a users to be upgraded continuously. So the library staff, information scientists are there, they are upgrading themselves, and they will help you to how to search that resource. For example, chemical abstracts. How do you handle chemical abstracts? Searching through formulas, searching through words, searching through equations is difficult. So you have to really see what is the structure of this chemical abstract is. And I remember, this citation index, science citation index, or social science citation index, or arts and humanities citation index. To consult that index is not that easy because it has so many parts into it, and how to go through different parts and how to correlate. And there is a very important aspects in that printed resource, that was a JCR, Journal Citation Report. And this is the journal citation report which will give you the list of all the journals subject wise, listing in order of high impact journal to the low impact journal in the JCR. So that was the time. Now the Web of Science has come. It's also doing the same job, having the citation count and citation analysis into the area. So searching techniques into different research resources is very, very important. And if you are able to get an analytical research resource, like Web of Science is an analytical research resource. EBSCO, in that also there is analytical research resource. This is very, very important aspects. And almost in all databases, they have simple searches, they have advanced searches, and now the federated search aspect is also coming up. And then once you get all these things, then you have to sort out your results. So these facilities are already given in the databases. So in the database, they have a collection of different journals. And in the federation, you give us search term on the top of the database, and it will search all the journals, and it will list out the results, and you can sort out later. And this sorting is also, you can sort out year wise, you can sort out in a period wise, from this to this, and you can sort out journal wise also. So there are different options are given from journal A, starting with A to D or E to Z, or all journals together. And if you are familiar with 5 journals, so give the name of the journal. If they're in the same sequencing, given the one sort, and you will get a sorting listing. So searching is very, very important aspects in doing a review of literature, that how to do a search. I have seen people, their review of literature is not completed because of they don't know how to make search techniques in databases, and they are not consulting the librarian or the information staff also. They themselves are sitting and doing, or they are taking help of their friends. And sometimes it is found the researcher or the student in that area, they are much more intelligent in consulting the research resources than the librarian. Or to make the librarian more active and more knowledgeable, it is the librarian also who have to interact with the research scholar, who are continuously consulting a particular resource and get the knowledge base. And that will be the knowledge resource of the library, will become a knowledge resource of the library. Anyhow, this is about the search technique in the area. Browsing and selection of research resources. See, when you will get an article, you have to browse. You will get, let's say, 200 articles on that area, but you have to browse it. And browsing means you have to see one by one whether it is relevant, or you have already done your key terms and sub key terms while searching. But still, you have to see whether have you got a sufficient article on that or not, in those subheadings or not. So you have to do the browsing, and you have to select the relevant article. And on the different aspects of heading, your research title is the one main broad heading, and under that broad heading you are having some 4 or 5 subheadings, like information needs and seeking behavior of biological scientists. So information need is one, information seeking behavior. Seeking behavior is a psychological part. It involves a lot of things, how they seek information. And of course, the biological scientists, their characteristics, how to handle it, the information. So from that aspect, these are the 3 broad headings. But when you will go into the subheadings, you will find there are some more subheadings are there, and according to each subheading must be a relevant article. A review, a selection of books are also important. Why I'm saying selection of books are also important is, it is the book who will tell you that what is the first research done on that area. And if you are able to catch hold of that book, say Little Science, Big Science, Derek D. Sola Price books, very important, and is the basic books on bibliometrics. You will find the ideas got generated from there. And if you are able to catch hold of this document, we have that book in our library, department library also, in Delhi University. And if you are catch hold of, let's say, Darwin theory, if you have an original book on Darwin theory, original I mean a copy of it in your library, very good. Raman effects. If you are having an original article written by Dr. Raman, on the Raman research effect, where the Nobel Prize was given. So getting the original or a classic, I'll use the word classic literature, a classic literature resources in that book, whether it is a book or whether it is an article, that will really strengthen your research. And very important aspect is that your research must start with the beginning and must come to the latest area. So you have seen in many of the research journals, if you will submit your research article, then they will return your article stating that your research review is old, because you have not included the articles related to 2020 or 2021 or 19. The latest what they have noticed, it was 2015. And you are submitting now in 2021. So you must include what is happening latest in the area. And It's a continuous process. Let's say you got registered in 2015 and you are submitting now in 2020 or 21, like that. Then there is a chance if you are getting some 6-7 new article in 2020 or 2021 and you have time, include it, because still you have not submitted your thesis, so you may include in the review also. That will help you when you will try to publish the articles from your thesis. Your journal people will not say that you have not included the latest articles. Now, the ordering of research resources. I have already mentioned that the grouping or ordering of article is very, very important. Classical resources on the title. Just now I said classical resources on the title is very, very important. How will you arrange your articles in those headings? Whether it is a year-wise or author-wise or a concept-wise. The best method is concept-wise. You arrange your articles in the subheading concept-wise, how the concept is developed, how the development took place under that particular heading, which is difficult. I can tell you the most important part in the, I'll come to that area also, is the arranging things in the concept-wise manner. Year-wise is very, very important. You see, what we do when we say ordering of our research resources, for a Bachelor of Library Information Science, we ask the students to do a literature survey. We know that they are not expert in the area, so what we tell them is collect some 40-50 articles in that area. And if possible, try to collect that 40-50 article along with the abstracts if you are able to get it. And they are getting it. And we say arrange these 40 articles into 4 or 3 or whatever possible subheadings. So they are doing. That's it. So that's the literature survey, first step in doing it. And when they will come to the master degree, we give them the project and we ask them, no, 40 articles, at least 80, 90 articles you collect. And 90 article, when you are writing one by one, under each heading, give the flow. So they try to give the flow connectivity between 2-3 authors, similar ideas together. And when they are in MPhil, we say not more than 100. 100, you must collect 100 or 110. And in MPhil, we say try to write in the order, in your own language. And when you are in PhD, minimum 130 articles, 125 articles, and in different headings, and in a flow, in your own language, not only in your own language in the review, but also giving the gaps in the area. That is very, very important. Adding what is to be done, adding what is more to be researched in that area. So the complexity of review, so the complexity of handling the literature, it increases from Bachelor Library Information Science first semester student to the final PhD students who are going to submit the thesis. So there is a, this is very, very important. This flow, which I just now mentioned, the differentiations between the different grading system. Assigning headings and subheadings we have already discussed. Now under the method is, see, it is not impossible, I can tell you. It is simple. Once you understand and give your thinking and give your time is very important. See, the researcher and the student, they are not giving time to their research. Everyone is trying to do a research at the end of the last 1 year or 2 years. Once they get registered, they are free. Oh, we got registered, so no need to hurry. We have a 5 years. Everybody comes to only in the last 2 years. Okay, now it's ending time. So if you will really do systematically, you will be able to give the introduction, 1 paragraph at least of the group heading 1 and the content part of it. And more important, last 3 lines of discussion. That in this particular heading, what is about this heading is, and what is the gap that you have noticed. If you are able to give in the discussion of heading 1, you are on the right track of giving the review. I'll give you here one example. There is a thesis submitted by one of my research scholar, Garima Sanaman. She did a study of information storage and access in digital environment for the people with disabilities in NCR libraries. According to me, that this particular research scholar, she has done the review the way I was visualizing, and she was quite intelligent, and she understood the whole concept of review, and she used her own language and divided into heading, subheading, discussion. I'll show you. See, this is the content page of the review, and the whole review is divided into 8 headings. First heading was the introduction of the review chapter. I don't know whether it will be. This will be the introduction of the review chapter. Then the second heading was a disability and divide in digital age. And again, under this particular heading, she made 3 subheading: emergence of disability divide and disability divide in digital environment and impact of ICT on disability divide. So the whole emphasis was on the disability divide. Her thesis was on the digital environment for the people with disability in NCR. And the important part is, look at the last heading in the review of literature, is the conclusion. So this conclusion is very, very important. I'll show you. When she gave an introduction, in the introduction, she has used her own words. She has not copied. See, we have to still see and note that how many of our theses being submitted at the university, they are checked under plagiarism along with the review. Otherwise, what we say, exclude the review, because review is not my idea. Review is taken from the other people, their language, their things are coming up. Okay, fine. But in your review, if you have used your own words, and when we say the words, own words, it means language. Language is very, very important. See, we all live in India, and India is full of different languages. And if it comes to the Hindi, Hindi is our mother tongue, and we are very comfortable and safe in discussing the idea and stating things in Hindi. But when it comes to the other language, the English language, then it's become difficult. After reading the English literature, English articles published in English language in that particular subject, after reading that and then writing in our own words, I'll read it here. She wrote an introduction. Therefore, an exhaustive literature review has been done to understand the role of libraries can play to bridge information gaps with people with disabilities by identifying and analyzing their needs and providing the necessary solutions to the problem of information handling and access with the advancement in the assistive technology. Now, the literature review begins with a discussion on disability divide in the age from the perspective of information access and the disablement for the people with disability. The review focuses on the different aspects that she has covered in this. So that's her own language she wrote, and this is what we want, that when writing this review of literature, you should use your own sentence. Now here again, The review focus on the other areas like information resources available for the people with disability to equalize the information gap between disabled and those without disability. The role of libraries in providing their barrier-free environment by studying the information-seeking behavior of the users and providing appropriate information and services to them. So all her language. And now just see the first heading, disability divide in digital age. And under the second subheading is emergence of a disability divide. Now here, when she was using the references, the ideas of other people, she is putting under, she is giving the references here. She is giving a reference. Just see here the Chaudhary and Ship 2005, Kuln 2001, and so on, already mentioned here. But if you are taking the idea as it is, you have to give within the quotes. And if you are not using, but the idea you are using, but writing in your own way, it's not your idea, somebody else, even then you have to give a reference. Otherwise, you will be trapped under the plagiarism. This is very, very important. Just a minute. Hello. हाँ, मैं 5 बजे आता हूँ, मैं ना अभी ऑनलाइन हूँ, प्लीज आप प्रोसीडिंग्स कंडक्ट कीजिए. हाँ जी, थैंक यू. So sorry, there was a call. Anyhow, so there is a subheading, and she is giving a proper referencing also. So this is important. And there are various studies addressing the issue of digital divide for the disadvantaged group people like unemployed, elderly, rural people. All these ideas she has, and then the next sentence is, this particular author focus on several dimensions of the digital divide. Now, it is not the exact abstracts that the person has taken. So this is very, very important. I'm giving you example here that how this person has given here. Now, at the end of this is what I am saying, that in all the subheading, at last you have to give one paragraph. The above studies focus on to minimize the gap. Minimize the gap that exists between information technologies and the people who cannot make use of this technology due to one or other reason, whether due to disability or insufficient technology available in the libraries. Libraries need to work in collaboration. So this whole language is her language. And this paragraph is on the basis of first 3 subheadings on a main heading. So this is what, while writing a review of literature, one should write. This is the way of doing it. Now, at the end of the review of literature, one has to give the conclusion. And this is the conclusion where, if you are possible to highlight the gaps and the research question, that is more important. Now, this was done in 2010, I think. Yes, 2010. And I was happy that time that she has used her word. And now I'm stressing on that the people must give the objectives and ideas and the research question also at the conclusion, and also under each subheading in one paragraph what is gap area is. Now the reviewed studies reveal that today libraries are overwhelmed with the task of service delivery to all its patrons, including people with disabilities. In this digital age, librarian needs to work hard to cope up with the changing technology and to meet the changing challenge of serving the disabled user effectively with the adoption of appropriate assistive devices in libraries. Now, this can also be checked through questions. When you draft a questionnaire, it can be checked whether the assistive device that they are providing is able to help the users or not. It has been noticed from the above study that the rising complexity of the technology and lack of expertise among the librarians to handle these devices is giving rise to the digital divide. This is what she has focused. It has been noticed from the above study that the right, see, not the practical aspect, but from the above studies. This conclusion is not she has done from the survey, but from the research article so far she studied. It has been noticed from the above studies that the rising complexity of the technologies and lack of expertise among the librarians to handle these devices is giving rise to the digital divide, which further leads to the disability divide in the potential users of the library. Anyhow, so this is to be done at the end of the review. Several studies conducted in many countries to, it is further the conclusion going on in many countries to study the status of library services provided to the disabled user revealed that most of the libraries are not in a position to serve the information needs. This is the conclusion, she has drawn and also stated by some. Here, she has given here. Also, the study states that the library can transform the lives of the disabled people by providing them access to the wealth of information and knowledge by proper planning before implementing the new ICT infrastructure. So what is important is at the end is the conclusion, which we can say summary of the review and inclusive of all groups, headings, overview, a summary of the literature that attempts to survey the literature and describe its characteristics. And the last and not the least and very important is the reference list. Review chapter without reference list is problematic. So you have to give a reference list at the end, and a proper referencing has to be there. Whether you use MLA or APA or any other, reference style, and there are many reference styles available. So you have to arrange all your references alphabetically in order of author-wise. And wherever you are using online, so you have to mention the date and time on which you have access. So Berkeley D, you will find it was viewed on 5th September 2010. Viewed on this, right? And so this is, and that 5th January 2010, and so on. And the citation styles you are already aware with. There are citation style, MLA, Modern Language Association of America, AP, American Psychological Association, Harvard style. And in all these style manuals, citation style manuals, books, it is very, very important, and that how you are giving a referencing in the text, within the text, and how you are giving references at the end of the chapter. So referencing in text and referencing in last, because each reference style, citation style is having its own method of giving a referencing. There is a Chicago manual style also. And now here I have given one according to MLA, that how to cite a book. Here there is a first name, Sharma in the beginning, and then the rest of the names are in same order. Ajay Gupta, Vikas Madan, same. The first author, surname is first. And then journal article, how the journal article is to be written. So it is given here. If it is a print, you have to write a print. And electronic resources. And you have to give at what time electronic resources have been used. 24 Jan 2013. And American Psychological Citation Style is having a, here you will find first author, surname, then the second surname, and so on. And very, very important, After going through your review, select article which support your research objectives. You will find that, of course, when you are doing it, you will be finding your objectives also within the end of the each subheadings. And I'm sure, 100% sure that reading review and thinking on it definitely, yes, definitely generate a new beginning, a new ideas into it. See, while doing a research, when you collect a data, when you analyze it, when you will tabulate it, when you will infer it, when you will conclude it, every time when you are thinking, if you are not giving thoughts to it, it will be just like writing on a paper. But if you are really thinking, it will give you a new ideas into your research. New things will come up. I can give one example here. See, at the end of your thesis, there will be a viva, and if the examiner is good, he will always ask, okay, tell me what is your contribution. So what is the tradition going on is that this researcher is first presenting the thesis in the slides. So that takes half of the time. And after that, the examiners start asking the questions. And when the examiners start asking the question, therein, he asks, what is your contribution? So in the name of your contribution, you say one thing, sir, this is my contribution. I collected data. Before that, no one collected data, and I tabulated this is this percentage. This is a new correlation I have noted. Fine. Then he will ask, okay, what is more contribution? So you will say 2. Then what is next? 3. So how many times he will say next? At least you should have in your research 4 or 5 new ideas. Then it will be your own research, a new contribution, you will be happy. And in my research, when I did my PhD, I was sure that the examiner will going to ask me this. And he asked. And I said, sir, I did. I can give you one example. See, while doing a review, if the article is having a large number of references and text is, let us say, 15 pages of text, so is it a original research? And if the article is having 80 references, you will say straight away it is a review article. If it is even having a 60-40 review article. If the article is having a 10, you will say, okay, the author has given his contribution also. And if the article is having 2 or none, and the text is 3 pages and no references, so is it an original idea? So with this, what I decided is, the larger the references, less the text value. Lesser the number of references, higher the text value. Maybe true, maybe false. So this is what I'm trying to say, is that when you will really interact with your text, when you will really interact with your things, this hypothesis I made in my thesis, I did on a cytometrics area. So this is what I'm trying to say, is that it is the review. It is the review only which is the base of your research work. So I will stop here, and so let us think more, and you will get new and new idea.